I'm stoked to be your brother.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you on board as a brother.
Yeah, yeah. So I know we discussed just before the podcast, and this is like very much on theme. Stepping into the unknown. That's an experience we both seek and gain immense value from. Um, I would love to hear just off top of mind, like in the realm of stepping into the unknown and taking big leaps with the goal of self-discovery, what has been like the most major journey you've taken throughout the scope of your life that encapsulates what that is? I know we talked about first, like, what was your first one? You talked about driving, but what is like most prevalent for you and just top of heart? And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Like into the unknown.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that's like pretty much your lifestyle, so I imagine there's a lot there. Um,
No, I don't know. Maybe it appears that way. I think what I've been doing for a while, and I think to go into the unknown for me is more like coming into community.
mm,
It's easy for me to isolate and do things by myself and come out here and do this sort of thing all by myself and be pretty content with that. And I think the unknown is allowing others to see me in my vulnerability. And I think coming to the men's retreat and just allowing myself to be and feel everything I was feeling fully was a step in that direction. And feeling those things themselves was not hard because I've been going through a lot for a long time, and a lot comes up and I feel a lot, and crying is common. So um, doing it in front of other people, allowing myself to be seen that way is a step. And I felt comfortable to be myself around all you guys, and I felt like it was received with a lot of love and acceptance, and yeah, it was just a beautiful community moment.
mm-hmm.
I think something that really I've been, and not just me, but I think it's just missing from the regular run-of-the-mill mainstream kind of community idea is just allowing realness and depth to emerge, and to just and a lot of people just don't know how to hold space for that either. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes a certain kind of person who wants to develop deeper bonds with people and have a more true existence, just like living in truth and knowing that that satisfies the soul
Ooh,
more than
scrumptious,
anything.
yummy,
That
yummy.
truth is what satisfies the soul more than anything for me, I think. Yeah, I mean, but then there's the hard truths that just rip you up and tear you apart, but
Truth doesn't care.
ultimately brings you to a better place, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So
That's fucking.
that's where I can go from.
That's
That's
perfect,
where you
dude.
set me up, and that's where I went. So.
That was
mm,
that was something else.
mm.
Yeah. It reminds me of the conversation around natural law, and I feel like when we put ourselves in congruence with natural law, which truth is an element of natural law, then we really thrive and we really evolve and we really find our freedom. So I would be curious to hear, what this element of aligning yourself with truth has just done for you as a human being, and what it's done for your experience, and any, specific points that you find pertinent to, what it's done for you.
Mm. I feel like this conversation right now is bringing me back into the observation of truth in a more, just cognizant way. And maybe I should be reflecting on truth more often in my life, to as if I'm pursuing it or not. Because I feel like I get away from it, and that's when I suffer the most. is when I'm not pursuing it, when I'm not going after what my soul is, or higher self, or however you want to look at that part that's deeper, that sometimes is hard to reach, but is the guiding force. And yeah, in the last month, I've been very much following that, and I've been a lot happier and a lot just more in the moment, and just a lot more in the unknown, and a lot more opportunity has come my way, and a lot more beauty. I'm just feeling much more. Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, you're hitting
wandering.
You're hitting the nail on the head.
Wandering again.
Like, what has pursuing truth done for you? And it really comes down to like aligning yourself with nature. I feel it's what, like you said, it nourishes the soul. It really is like that essential nutrient for us feeling most alive. Except the one thing is that truth is a bit of an abstract concept, and it means something different to all of us. So I like the idea of providing context through what seeking truth has done for you, and you've already laid a great foundation of like what that's looked like for you, and now the value that it's given you, and like how it's opened up your experience.
Sorry,
You're good.
I'm a little not sure how to proceed.
So it sounds like you've been following what your heart's deepest desires are. And one question that comes to mind for me, and something I reflect on, is like how much of your mind has been and your ego has been in resistance to like seeking your truth and what your soul truly wants, like out of life, because I experience the same thing where I turn away from what truly serves me, and I know it serves me, but there's an element of discomfort that comes with like deriving like the true gold nuggets and pearls, the things that we truly want in our lives. Like it takes work to obtain them. So, just reflecting on my experience, it's amazing like how much my mind can be in resistance to like doing what I actually truly want. And like taking these leaps and stepping into the unknown continually. And it's like an active process. And I feel like the more I do it, the better I get at it. So like my nervous system capacity expands to be able to seek truth more and do it more consistently and do it more effectively. But I can also find myself reverting, as like we know this process is not linear, and it's like a spiral, and it's like a fall down and get back up, a forgetting and a remembering, blah, blah, blah. How much of have you found yourself in resistance to like actually living this life that your soul truly wants? Because I feel like we've talked about this a lot.
A continuous struggle. Yeah, it's been a continuous struggle to just figure that out. And I think, well, for me, it's just been like not knowing what the next thing is that I'm pursuing. I pursued several different things in my life that I was really passionate about, and then I get to a point with it, and it's just like, okay, this isn't it anymore. What's it now? Where do I go? What do I pursue? And I've lived for a long time without knowing that, and I think that was a main reason why my health started deteriorating. And then that led into a many-year health struggle, and then that was the purpose of life, was getting better and finding balance, and I'm a lot better. There's still a lot of room for improvement, but I'm starting to the clouds are starting to clear where I can see further down the road, and I can't see completely to what the thing is I want to be doing, but it's starting to take form and it's starting to take shape. And I just have to feel into what that thing is, that it's going to feel a lot more like where I want to be. Like I can get to the feeling of it more than the idea of what it is. I've got some ideas too, but I kind of hold them lightly. But I think it's a great idea to have them too as structure to move forward towards. But if something greater comes up, or a new permutation of that idea comes to me, then I'm open to shifting it.
That's wonderful. That's something that's
mm,
like changed my life completely, is not attaching to what I think I'm supposed to be doing or what has been working. And
yeah.
that's been the most major pivot point in my journey recently, is like finally acknowledging my denial of my jewelry career not being the path forward for me. And it's, reflecting and being like, okay, it can fit into my life somehow, but there's things that are much more in alignment with the experience I want to have, and like what lights me up the most and where I feel my life becomes most meaningful. And that's, within holistic wellness and serving others in that realm. And, the men's immersion we did, which was like, that was such a solidifying factor for me. So I'm so fucking happy you were there. And it was just, it absolutely went perfectly. And it was primarily a matter of, the right people
Mm.
coming together. Like, we created the space or whatever and put a lot of work into organizing it. But obviously, it would have been nothing without you guys. And that was incredible. I know there were some other things that came up as you were talking about what you were talking about, but now they're gone. And that's okay. But
Mm.
yeah, really well said, man. I'm trying to see what else is there for me for
I
us to dive into.
I just want to say this one thing. I
Yep.
think I had been so used to just like knowing what I want and then moving towards it, and then being like my goal was clear and sharp and it was so easy to move forward. And it's like I lost that ability at some point, and now I'm just learning how to proceed in this unknown way and just having to trust more. It's like I'm learning to just go through life with a different set of um, senses or abilities, or like I can't rely on the yeah, I don't know.
It's like a matter
It's
of
like different. Yeah,
yeah. You got anything? Got anything else there?
I can't fully articulate it to the way I feel like I could
Yeah.
express it to the best. But yeah, it's just like teaching me a new way and a new way to be. I think,
Mhm.
and to hold space for myself and my future, and to trust the unknown more,
Trust.
and come into community and see how I anyway.
No, it's
I
good.
get I get.
It's good. Yeah, because
Mm,
I feel like it's really hard, and many people are lost because they've convinced themselves that the life they're living is what's right for them, and it's solely based off of what other people think is right for them, society, and I don't know, parents and peers and stuff like that. And that I love, just reflecting on community. That's why it's so important to go out. And I feel like that's the medicine. Like, if you're going to do anything, put yourself out there in the realm of meeting people in different communities and see how you feel. And that will allow you to further solidify like your most aligned North Star and like where you can start heading. Because, yeah, I know we both have had conversation about isolating and spending a lot of time alone. And that's still my comfort zone. I know it doesn't serve me, and of course, solitude is important, and like there's a balance. But I spent many years working on jewelry in my studio, like and that was my primary focus, and it was solely out of insecurity for a while because I wanted to prove myself to the world, and I wanted to, like, through achievement, find self worth, which obviously that just doesn't work. And I spent a lot of fucking time alone in my studio, and the solitude essentially made me sick. That level of solitude and aloneness, and I wasn't able to know who I was because I was just like in my own head.
yeah.
And
The reflection of community shows you who you are and what you have to offer to others.
mhm.
And I can totally relate, because being alone, it's just like you're in an echo chamber. You don't know yourself.
Yeah,
You know yourself in a very specific way, but when you're around others, you get to see what you have to offer, and there's no substitute for
no.
community.
There's not. Relationships are truly
Yeah,
the most important thing, and I put that above even like consuming the right foods and stuff. Like, of course, you're gonna deteriorate if you
yeah,
fucking eat McDonald's every day, but this is my anecdotal proof that this is a fact, and it's a fact for me because I had everything like lined up. I had my dream body. I was eating the best foods. I was like, I had a successful business and, renowned in my craft, and like all that shit was like dialed. And then I didn't have relationships of depth. So I was just depressed. I was confused. And at the same time, my ego convinced me everything was okay because people were also reflecting back to me how like awesome my life was and like how great I was doing and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, I must be doing great, but I wasn't actually tuning in and listening to myself and, all these other, variables of health and wellness, the food, drinking the right water, going to sleep at the right time, everything dialed. I didn't have the community and my life sucked. And it was because I didn't have the community. So that's why I say like the relationships and the community pretty much trumps all. And I know there's also a study in longevity showing like how loneliness impacts our nervous systems and deteriorates our health essentially. So that's a good point
Yeah, my body responded to that.
yeah,
for
to
sure.
drill home. You just wither away. You fucking erode when you don't have the people around you.
That's what happened. That's what happened to me, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Tell me more about that.
I mean, in the simplest way, that's what happened. just loneliness,
withering.
Just loneliness and deterioration of health and wellness, and which is the body's way of getting the person to connect with people. Because it's the cry for help that says, if you consciously can't bring yourself into community and love, we're going to make you go out there and have to talk to people and be vulnerable and show them what's wrong with you so that you can get better. And that's going to bring you into community. And that's what it does.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Thank you, nature. Thank you. I mean, it's like either that or just continue to go deeper into the darkness and the sadness and the disharmony and the disease and maybe even die. And people fucking die all the time from this shit. I mean, so we're like fortunate enough to have, listened to whatever degree and, tried some things. And I mean, for me, when I was feeling that way and I was like, holy shit, something ain't working. And I just didn't have like a full grasp and clarity on what it was. I just knew I needed to do something different. So, a Paul Chek event popped up on my radar and I was like, okay, this looks cool. This seems like a really great idea for myself. And I just felt the call and I was like, if I make a sale in the next 2 days with jewelry, I'll go. And I made a sale the next day. So I scooped the ticket, got the flight booked. And meanwhile, this was an incredibly edgy experience for me, right? Like spending so much time alone, connecting with a completely new community in a different state. But knowing like, it felt very exciting to me and very alluring. So I said yes to that. And at that point, like I said, I was very much in a place of, dissatisfaction and I was falling apart essentially. And I was doing everything I could to cope, but it wasn't working, drugs, masturbation, food, blah, 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 all that stuff. And like as soon as I got out there and I started connecting, and here back to like how my mind was so in opposition of this experience but it wasn't anything that wasn't navigatable. It was a little uncomfortable as these things are. And as we do the things that help us expand, that's what you recognize. It's like that component always will come with that experience. And getting to connect with these people and just like put myself out there, have these conversations, and how nourishing it felt to my nervous system and how healing. Just like the first 30 minutes of being there, I was radiating in a completely different way. And then I was like, oh, I said yes. This is the experience I had. What neurons that wire together, fire together. I made that conscious recognition. And I continued to say yes to like more micro opportunities while I was there. So I met this guy, Ryan Sprague, there. He does a lot of work in conscious cannabis and is at the forefront of that sort of revolution right now in society. And he was wearing a Floozy shirt. So I was like, oh, another opportunity. Go talk to this guy. Nice Floozy shirt, blah, blah, blah. And that led to, me working with him as my first coach. And that night while I was out in San Diego, got to go out to dinner with him and a bunch of other amazing people. And those people were people that I got to go to my first men's retreat with. So it's like all these opportunities were available to me. I said yes to them and made the conscious recognition that it was, incredibly healing for me and the right thing Um, and that's been single-handedly the most impactful aspect of like me healing myself, is just continuing to say yes and like recognizing those opportunities. And it's funny because there's still that resistance to stepping into those unknown paths, but I know that it's the thing that serves me most. And even doing this podcast, it's stepping into the unknown. And I feel great having this conversation with you. It's so fun to reflect and connect the dots and see the crossovers of our experience and share those experiences with other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always give me so much to chew on, man.
What was that?
You always give me so much to chew on. I'm always like, oh, where do I go?
Yeah.
I need like little bite-sized pieces.
Right.
I've got a
Little snacks.
I've got a slow processor.
Well, that's okay.
So
it's good to take our time. But yeah, just like what I'm communicating here is how important it is to answer the call and
yeah,
develop that connection to your intuition that leads you in the direction of answering the right calls. And that's the most important thing we can be doing right now. And a lot of that has to do with just putting yourselves in the environment of the right communities.
Mm-hmm.
And just like allowing yourself to have those experiences, getting out of your own way. Get the fuck out of your own way. It's so easy to get in your own way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's what most people's lives are about, is figuring out how to get out of your own way and to keep getting out of your own way.
Yes.
And to keep the flow going and the momentum and
yeah,
keep it moving towards a greater life.
Right? Yeah. Like, and that's hard to determine what is the greater life for me. What is the greater life for me?
It's a new question every day.
Yeah, and it's not what the greatest life is for you. That's not the greatest life for me, because that's your greatest life. So that's what gets confusing, because we can model our approach off of other people's. We could see what has worked for other people and be like, oh, I can go try and do this thing. But ultimately, it's a matter of like having a clear relationship with ourselves and what feels good, and gaining momentum with those pursuits. So yeah, it's such an interesting like opening process, and then you close off, and then you keep opening and closing off again, and so life's cool.
It's a rhythm. It's a rhythm.
Yeah,
it is a rhythm.
Do you need to get out of the sun? Are you getting smoked yet?
I'm feeling it. I don't know if I have much. If we both moved over a little bit, it might help.
Here, yeah, we're good. We'll keep it rolling.
Hang on, little battery.
I don't know if moving forward would help too.
I'm in a good spot right here. It'll probably find me again in 10 or 15 minutes, but
Alright, I know where we're going next.
Alright.
So
I can move this a bit. Give my feet some room. Thank you.
I want to hear about the Joe Dispenza experience.
Oh, yeah, alright.
Let's have a little integration session and see what that was like for you, and what came through, and any new realizations, any new dots connected. Yeah, I want to hear all about that.
So yeah, this was my third event. My first event was in January of 22, and my second was in May of 22, and this is my third, and it's July of 23. So I think the first thing I noticed when I showed up that, well, I hadn't been doing the work, but it didn't really matter. So, I mean, I'm always doing work. It's just like certain work calls me at certain times, and I do different things. But so, yeah, I showed up this time, and I was a little like nervous that I hadn't been doing the work, but I dropped right back into it pretty easily. And I also noticed that when I showed up, I was just showing up as more of who I wanted to be than I had in the past. I just had a little more magnetism to me, just a little more calmness and confidence about me, about myself. Like when I walked into the hotel, at first I don't have a lot of reasons to or opportunities to dress nice. So when I do have slight opportunities, I just like to look nice if I can. So I put on a nice shirt, and I walked in, and I felt the eyes of different women, and I just was like, wow, I can like pull it together, and like, because I guess I just don't have a lot of a lot in my life that calls me to show up looking nice. So I live a pretty free, wild, free life. So it was nice to show up. That gave me a little boost, and then I attracted several different women and got some phone numbers, and also just like was just comfortable in talking to women more so than ever. Just taking my time, like learning how to court at 37. It's just like finally I'm just coming into my element and being calm and present with myself and present with others, and like not having this needy or clingy energy that I think I kind of possessed in the past. So it's like it was definitely awesome to feel like I was growing. So that was like really great and had really nothing to do with the event. But how are we doing?
I just want to, let's find a position where you don't have to keep moving.
That's not gonna. The sun is just.
Oh, she's rising.
Yeah, she's rising. It's just gonna. Let me grab my hat. That'll make a difference.
That's fucking epic. What a like, to have, you know, your internal work reflected on the outside like that. That's so powerful because it's so tangible, you know? Because the only way that's happening is if like you truly find yourself attractive to yourself, and if you have built that like foundational security and confidence within yourself to whatever degree, because that's just like the laws of nature working course, how like a woman is magnetized towards your energy. It doesn't just, I mean, maybe like some girl just finds like a guy attractive based off of his appearance alone, but I mean, Dispenza people are tapped into energy, so it's like obviously there's more layers to it in that regard. And I will say, well, I will ask, what does that mean about you as a person that you were able to show up and, you know, you were radiating in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I was just more comfortable with who I am, I guess, and what I've been through. I think I've been kind of like somewhat, I don't know, ashamed or embarrassed, or just like, I feel like I wear the years of my illness on my face pretty well. Like I feel like my eyes are kind of sunk, and just like years of fatigue and stuff. And I think that kind of was my excuse for feeling not enough, you know. I think there's always been a reason to feel not enough, and there always will be.
Exactly.
And at a certain point, it's just like I just have to wear these scars of my life with pride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a choice. You get to choose what aspects of yourself you see, and it's a practice of seeing the highest in yourself. Like it's a matter of having a healthy relationship with yourself, and I mean,
wow. I'm working on it. It's slowly developing, and I think that's maybe, I think most of my lessons in life are about patience and taking things slow. So I'm enjoying this slow building of this confidence in myself, and just knowing that I have worth to offer people, and in relationship and in community. And even if I don't have everything to offer, I mean, that's the miracle of community. If you're around enough people, what I don't have to offer, somebody else will, you know, and we all fill in the gaps as best we can. And to some people, what I think is an inadequacy, they might not even care. They might not even notice it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So, but it's just, I just feel more comfortable putting myself out there, and just more relaxed and at ease with myself. And then that ease just flows to that person that I'm interacting with, instead of that insecurity and nervousness, which just is not the place you want to meet people in.
Isn't that and Oh man, I can reflect on so many times where I had a conversation with a woman where I was like, "What the fuck was that, dude?" You know, and then like you're like, "Yep, that's me. That's who I am," and there's the evidence to prove it, and that's a slippery fucking slope right there. So like navigating that and like having some grace with yourself and
Grace, that's the
grace,
word.
baby,
Grace with
grace.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like, I beat the shit out of myself for so long. Like, if I didn't execute on whatever situation, and I would just cling to this energy of like, yeah, there it is again. You fucked up again, man. And
Yeah.
then, I don't know, I mean, that's not really a part of my life anymore. And just with informing myself and recognizing how counterproductive that is. And, I mean, that just perpetuates those patterns and cycles of insecurity and in confidence. And I mean, it doesn't make it easy though, having that recognition when like you fucking have a clunky social interaction, you feel like a dum dum, and you're just like, oh fuck, I dropped the ball there. And just the self
It's
judgment.
practice. It's better than nothing.
Yeah,
You know?
like right. Why don't we just be like, okay, I put myself in the fucking arena.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I became an active participant. I could have just stood over there and fucking hid.
Mm.
And instead, we were talking about this before, how the ego likes to nitpick,
Yep.
and it's just like, what the fuck, dude? I'm not interested in this conversation. Like, obviously, our souls don't like that, and it's so unhealthy, and yeah, a lot of people, I imagine, struggle with that. But yeah, with the Dispenza event, tell us more about,
Yeah.
you know, what came through for you and some of the major aspects and turning points for you in terms of whatever recognitions, awarenesses. It sounds like that, you know, that was one of the main ones, like observing yourself and recognizing this shift versus the previous times.
Just, I think what I forget about and then becomes so incredibly apparent to me when I'm there, and it's like, how could I forget? Is that just being in that place is just this wonderful opportunity to engage in all of this love that is just there. It's just it it's always like this is how we're supposed to live.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we're supposed to be with one another in this open place of sharing and vulnerability and support and love. This is where the magic happens. This is only where the magic can happen. Not at a Dispenza event, but in that common intentionality of coming together for transformation and support and love. And it like renews my faith in goodness coming to this world in a greater way. And it just totally, it's so transformational. It's just incredibly beautiful. And the meditations bring you into such, like, you know, cliched term here, but just such high vibration, really. It just
high vibes, baby.
High vibes. Like, there's like, you know, there's like a scientific way you can talk about high vibes, and Joe Dispenza will tell you all about it. And but it's all just high vibes at the end of the day. And it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride too, because it brings you into these high vibes, but then it brings you down, and it's just part of it. Like, it's just part of the work. There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
It shows you things you need to look at and see, and it's all part of the healing and learning. And it's all.
I love that.
Yeah, it's all an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably going to start turning into a Joe Dispenza roadie, if I'm not already kind of in that category. So.
Do you want that?
I want to be around that energy more.
And do it.
And I think it's the easiest way for, you know, because you've got to have a lot of people coming together for the same sort of thing. You can't just like find that randomly. It's, you know,
that would be
high intentionality. So yeah.
What a way to sharpen the fucking sword. Put yourself in that space.
So yeah, doing stuff like going to more of his events and finding other events that are similar that I feel called to. Yeah.
That's, man, we're so lucky to have found ourselves in these experiences, right? And I reflect on all the wonderful events and communities I've gotten to connect to through the events, and what it's done for me, and how much comfort it's provided me, and how much more confidence and how much more love, and really connecting with peers that are doing the fucking thing, and really stepping up and having the courage to be themselves, and they're doing the work to be themselves, to uncover what that means, and that's where our superpowers lie, when we can tune into that. And when you're around a fucking bunch of people that are like they're finding their way in that groove, it's just, there's nothing more nourishing. It is absolutely the most charging thing you can experience, I feel. So when I reflect on all of this, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe, I can believe because it's happened, that I've ended up in these situations and connecting with people like you, and hosting the men's immersion this past year, and the other men's retreats I've had the opportunity to participate in. And it's interesting to reflect on who I'd be without these experiences. And it's like, it just allows you to take quantum leaps forward, I feel, and collapse timelines. And you never know who you're going to connect with, and what doors that is going to open up, and what you could build with these people that you connect with. And yeah, just like, it's interesting how it shifts the timeline. And yeah, just a absolute golden opportunity to find ourselves around people like this, and the inspiration that comes through. And yeah, it's just amazing, because so many people are at similar levels of awareness. So the degrees at which you can open up in safety just completely change, versus like people that are caught up in their lives and their own self-judgment, and not really having the experience to like receive someone fully, like every aspect of them, and go into the trenches and be like, this is completely normal, because the people outside of these circles, that's an abnormal experience, and that's not okay, and it's uncomfortable. And yeah, it is uncomfortable, but that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's nature, guys. It's fucking nature. Nature wants that for us.
The opportunity is always in the unknown.
It is.
It's like,
it is.
Most of the time, I think.
There's always an opportunity in the unknown.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's an opportunity if you look at it. It's just a perspective choice. And that's one thing in the Lifted circle, that a game that we play, a language game, I have a problem with this, and taking out problem and putting I have a golden opportunity with this, because problem is like, not really much. Well, you can do something about it, but it has negative connotation, and it's not a good thing. Golden opportunity is something positive, and it's growth oriented, and evolution oriented. And this is a thing I get to face. I get to face this opportunity and derive whatever, positive nuggets or new awarenesses or whatever it may be from the experience. So
yeah,
it's cool to reflect on that.
The languaging is very important, and I've taken notice on my own, but I do think there's room for improvement.
Always. I mean, that's a never-ending journey for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, this has been phenomenal. I don't want you to get smoked by the sun.
Oh.
And we've had a great conversation, so
all right,
let's cut it off here.
Okay.
And I don't know, would you like to pitch your social media for anyone that would like to reach out to you, that hears this and finds inspiration, or maybe just wants to connect with you?
Yeah, not really.
Mr. McComb. Not really. You have Instagram. You want to just drop that quick, and any last words for
I changed my Instagram handle a lot, and I'm not just totally satisfied with my handle at the moment, but I'll drop it, I guess. It's Andrews_vignettes. So it's just snapshots of my life and what I do here and there. When I get excited about something, I put it up. So
hell yeah. And one more thing, what is the most valuable piece of advice you could offer right now to the listeners? What's at top of mind? Anything that is...
Keep going.
I
mean, man, I drug my body through life for so long, and sometimes I just had to just keep going, even if keeping going fucking sucked. It was just keep going. It'll get better. You'll start doing something differently, or something will come through, and if you're at your worst, just keep going.
That's great advice.
And it'll get better eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And community.
Community.
Sorry. So that's well, I guess that's what came to mind. So that's what I have to share.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful to know you. And
thank you, Bill, for inviting me into this opportunity to
yes,
tell a little bit of my story.
we did it. All right. You guys, we love you. And we will see you on the other side. Smooches.
All right.